Glenn Ashton, A-S-H-T-O-N, and I live in Bordentown, New Jersey. My concerns are many for this senseless project that only puts more money in deep pockets. The particular concern I'm asking you about tonight is whether the water diversion required to build a compressor station is just and equitable to the residents of our county, our environment, and wildlife in the impacted area, as is required by your guidance documents. While I'm not an expert by any means about the effects of dewatering on the environment and wildlife, it is apparent that Transco has done an inadequate job of identifying the number of wells within a half mile of the compressor site. It concerns me, in light of the danger that this project, and particularly the compressor station, presents to our towns, that other serious mistakes in their data may have been made. We have been sold out by so many. The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, FERC, and many of our elected officials who have ignored the facts and the dangers this project presents, only to serve their self-interest. We are appealing to you to review the Transco application with the studied consideration it deserves and consider carefully the impact it has on our residents in doing so. The reasons given for the construction of this PennEast Southern Reliability Pipeline along with the Transco compressor station have shown to be false, and our citizens will not only suffer the adverse effects of its construction, but we now know for sure what we have suspected all along. We're going to pay for it. This must be stopped. We need to follow the precedent recently set in our neighboring states that have shut down pipeline projects as being against the best interests of the state. The Constitution Pipeline in New York and the Kinder Morgan Pipeline in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Paraphrasing Roger Downs of the Sierra Club's Atlantic chapter from a recent New York Times article, quote, "We need to put the protection of our water and climate before flawed energy projects that do not serve the public interest." I and many others in our community implore you to follow the precedent of the New York environmental regulators and reject this permit on the grounds that it does not meet the standards needed to protect our citizens and natural environment. Thank you.
I believe you left. Steve Benowitz? Steve Benowitz. Okay. The next three people, Catherine Marlin, Tim Serpico, and Vincent Carabin.
My name is Catherine Marlin. It's Katherine, and Marlin like the fish, Marlin. My husband and I live at 31 Bordentown Chesterfield Road in Chesterfield. This is a blown up picture of the proposed site. And our home is right here. It looks like a little black dot. It's pretty hard to see. And then here's my neighbor Glenn's house, right here. He spoke a little earlier. This whole project has been a nightmare, and this is our only opportunity to speak openly to someone who hopefully is truly listening, and with all due respect, just not trying to check a box. So thank you very much for allowing us to speak tonight. I appreciate it. As mentioned, our home is across the street from the proposed site that could potentially be dewatered should this move forward. And property line to property line, it's less than 50 feet. Our well and septic system are only a couple of hundred feet from the site, an eighth of a mile, according to page 45 in the application document. However, on page 44, It states there aren't any wells within a quarter mile of the site. Obviously, that statement is incorrect, and that's just one example of contradicting statements in the application. Because tonight, apparently there are 21 wells within a quarter mile. So how many more contradiction statements are noted in the application? Dewatering in general is concerning. It is very alarming, and they are requesting to remove at least 70, that's 70, million gallons of water. However, I learned tonight that that's also inconsistent. So it is very alarming. What will the impacts be to our home, to our water, to our septic, to our neighbors' homes, wells, septics, and our community's aquifer as a whole, especially in the case we have a drought? I'm very afraid we will not have water. If this permit does get approved, I am formally requesting the state protect us and demand Transco Williams to test our water before and after the dewatering occurs. I know our water has not been tested yet. Has the aquifer been tested? What happens in a scenario our well does dry up and or our water is contaminated? Who is responsible? Who is to pay to fix this? And what are we supposed to do? What is the so-called contingency plan that was mentioned tonight? We have a stream that runs through our yard. That stream is the home to a very wide variety of fish and wildlife. What will be the impact if that stream is dry? What will happen to the wildlife that depend on that water source for life? Our home and address are specifically noted in various areas of this application. Dewatering is a possible threat to homes and water systems in the area. If we are pointed out, we must be at a higher risk. If there were no risk, we wouldn't be here. The compressor station project, including and beginning with dewatering and through its future operation, is not in the public's interest. I assure you this is true because we are the public and we are not interested. So I urge you to please deny this permit. Thank you, and thank you everyone for coming.
Tim Serpico?
I filled out the wrong part. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay. Vincent Carabin? Vince, I'm going to call three people up. Just hold on a second. Garrett Alcia, Dan Caruso, and Belinda Blazik. Okay. Go ahead, Vincent.
It's Vincent Carabin, C-A-R-A-B-I-N. A lot has been said tonight about not expected to, and I think that gentleman there, John, was saying, not expected to, not expected to do this or that. Well, I want to give you a little history lesson. Williams, parent company of Transco, back in 2003, they paid $20 million to settle claims of reporting false data to manipulate the natural gas market in the U.S. They also settled with California for $900 million. To me, that's a lot of money. Then they agreed to pay $290 to settle a class action lawsuit. Okay, so that's the part I call thievery. When you start fixing prices, that's stealing, where I come from. Let's go a little further. 2009, they were fined $1 million for failure to monitor corrosion adequately with the Virginia pipeline explosion in 2008. Transco didn't report a leak for 4 days. Okay? Then they had one in 2010, 2011. They were fined $275,000 over failing to implement or maintain stormwater measures to prevent potential pollutants during plant construction. That was in Colorado. State inspectors notified Williams of the violations and told him to take immediate action. According to the report, Williams didn't do anything about it for 7 months. Then they were fined again for failure to conduct their own annual inspections. Then they had one in 2012 in Pennsylvania. They restarted, they had an explosion at a compressor station. This is the company that doesn't have an explosion, by the way. And within 24 hours, they started pumping frack gas, despite a request from the Pennsylvania Department of environmental protection not to do so. DEP states they make it very clear in the above that, but because it was not an official order, no fines were issued. 1 ton of methane released. Okay. Let's go a little further. 2013, in Colorado, groundwater is contaminated with benzene. Benzene is cancer-causing and breaks down the bone marrow. 2013, William Transco rejects U.S. Army Corps of Engineers safety recommendations in connection with the proposed Rockaway lateral natural gas pipeline, claiming they're required to needlessly delay the project and force cost overruns, God forbid. Then they had one, and this is the most clear because I see the caution light. They had one down in June, this was in Louisiana. They had an explosion. This was a $350 million expansion. 700 contract workers were present. 2 people killed, ages 29 and 47. 70 injuries, 62,000 pounds of toxic chemical release. Okay? So my question is, what the hell are we doing here? What are we doing here? Are we serious that we even deal with people like this? They steal, they lie. What am I missing? Is there something that I'm not getting?
Hi, it's Jarrettbelsca. I live on 94 Harness Way, and I'm a hydrogeologist. And yesterday, my wife and kids asked me to look into this dewatering permit. So I tried. I called Andy down with the DEP and asked for the draft, DEP's draft permit and the applicant's application. And I noticed a few things that were concerning. First of which, the BWA 002 submitted in December was on an outdated form. The form was revised in November of 2015. They submitted first in December of 2015, the wrong form, the out-of-date form. The new form requires PDF to be submitted and not much difference in technical information, but some. Administratively, they used the wrong form. You should probably, from that reason alone, extend this period of public comment. And as a result of that, the PDF I received was from the DEP's, which limited services. They scan the hard copy. Well, most of the figures you can't read because they're blacked out, and the tables aren't legible because you can't see the whole thing. So, Andy told me this is the same document sent to my township and their experts, and how they're going to do a complete review if they can't even read the report. Under Oprah and other things, I think that's unacceptable. But that's just administratively. Technically, under your own rules and requirements and technical guidance, the hydrogeologic report is incomplete, inadequate under your own standards. DP 12-2 wasn't. I mean, if you had a pre-app meeting and told them that aquifer testing was required, you shouldn't have. And I see that their dewatering calcs are based on grain size analysis, which in many of your own guidances you don't even accept. So I could make calculations with the same parameters they put in that report and ship and have a much larger zone of influence. They just said it wasn't going off site. What I could see in the figures, you got 36 areas, a lot of them near the boundary of your site, your wetlands. They did the spreadsheets with just one at a time, one excavation at a time. You know they're not going to dewater one at a time. And you're going to have combined effects, and you are going to have a much larger zone of influence. So it was an inadequate report by your own standards. It's the wrong form, and I'm going to submit some comments, but I respectfully request that you meet with me. I'd like to see at the very least before next week, the end of this comment period, I want to see the actual report, not a blacked out version, so I can make a more complete review. And I think you should really consider doing a more complete review to it. It seems like you're ready to pass. You know, you have this draft application, this package that said you're ready to green light this thing, but I think you really need to reconsider. I'd like to ask. I request a meeting with you guys for next week.
Thank you. Sir, you'll have
Oh, I thought he left, I'm
No,
sorry.
I was called, but I wasn't in the area. I had to go look at my mother. She's 82 years old, and I'm a caretaker. Sorry I had to leave. I've been
Sorry, what is your
along,
name? Ron?
Ron Wassell, W-A-S-S-A-L-L, 47 Ward Town, Chesterfield Road. I've been a long resident here in Chesterfield Township for over 50 years. I have a 18-foot irrigation pond. My first well from this agency putting their development in over here is 1,277 feet from this company putting this in. I measured it this morning. My well is 22 feet deep, and I'm taking water from 18 feet. If this is not going to affect my water table for my living in this home, who's going to protect me but you? I'm here for that. I'm taking care of 2 handicapped women in my house right now, which is my mother, which is 82. She's blind, handicapped, can't walk. The police have been there. Thank you for the police squad that we have here in this township. I'm here asking for help from you. This cannot happen. This is going to take my lake that I have in the back with my aquatic life, and I have 2 wells on my property, and I am a farmer here. And I do drip irrigation, and I brought the proof tonight, but I'm not going to present it to you. Thank you.
Dan Caruso. Very. Dan Caruso. Is he here? Okay.
Dan Caruso, 201 Providence Line Road. I mistakenly filled out the card, but I'll speak anyway. I'm a professional engineer by trade, my profession, and dealt with the DEP for numerous projects, wetland, stream encroachment, and I've had some projects of parking lots next to a stream where they left a little bit of asphalt instead of gravel, taking them 3-4 years to get approvals for that type of project. I would say on this, as another department of the DEP, I look at this project, it's taken 5-7 years to get their approvals. So I hope that you really look at the data that's been submitted and make the right choice. A lot of lives depend on it. Thank you.
And the 3 people following her would be Patty Cronheim, thank you, sorry, Carol Can, and Nicole Ben-Savengo. Okay, go ahead, Belinda.
Okay. My name is Belinda Blazic, B-L-A-Z-I-C. I live at 228 Bordentown, Chesterfield Road. Our home is located 1.5 miles from the project site. We rely solely on well water, so I'm extremely concerned about the impacts that the proposed diversion will have on our water resources. The original application submitted by the applicant for this project stated no wells existed within a 1/2 mile from the water diversion site. Subsequently, an addendum was submitted by the applicant and received by the DEP on February 3rd, 2016, identifying 20 private wells, not 21. Table 8 of the resubmission references 8 wells within a 1/4 mile, that's Exhibit A, when in fact members of the People Over Pipelines canvassed the area using addresses from the applicant's addendum as a guide to determine the properties within a half-mile range from the site had identified 35 residential private wells within a half-mile of the project site. Exhibit B, which I will give you when I'm done. It should be noted that the environmental assessment report that was submitted to FERC by Transco dated November 2015 stated on page 17, Exhibit C, we received comments on potential impacts on residential cisterns, wells, and septic systems in the project area. However, no public or private supply wells were identified within 150 feet and up to 1 mile, respectively, from any construction area associated with either Station 205 or 203. An unoccupied residential home that contains a private well is present at the Station 203 property. This home has been acquired by Transco. The existing well would be abandoned in accordance with NJDEP requirements. No seeps or springs are present at the project area. Therefore, we do not anticipate any significant impacts on cisterns, wells, or septic systems in the project areas. So, in response to the environmental assessment report, numerous comments were submitted by residents stating that this information is inaccurate and that almost all residents around the construction site and along the gas pipeline route do indeed have wells and septic systems. In response to residents' concerns, Transco addressed the issue by submitting a response to FERC stating that only one well was located within 150 feet. With that being said, I'm concerned that the applicant and professional engineer has not provided accurate and sufficient information to the DEP for review to ensure compliance and accurately address the water resource impacts that could occur from this project. Number one, I would like to know if the applicant conducted an aquifer test to generate sufficient information to allow evaluation of the groundwater diversion's potential impacts. Number two, Transco submitted an application for a 30-day permit to begin this project. Since this permit, 1322, could take up to 180 days. Was this permit issued? We want to know that.
Ma'am, your time.
Okay. Just real quick, there was one thing I really wanted to just mention. I'm also concerned about the wetlands because the diversion site, I have wetlands around my home, and it's my understanding that the wetlands provide valuable water quality protection to retaining and cleansing surface runoff to water bodies. Given that Transco will be removing up to 7 million gallons of groundwater in a given month, water in the wetlands could be lowered by the loss of groundwater flow to the wetlands. So that's another concern I have, and I'll leave you with this.
Patty?
Good evening. My name is Patty Kronheim, and I'm with Rethink Energy New Jersey. Kronheim is spelled Kronheim. And looking at the dewatering permit, we find that based on the significant amount of water proposed to be pumped, that there will be a drawdown of the groundwater that drives the hydrology of the wetlands and the base flow of surface water present on the site. These impacts will therefore affect regulated resources that include wetlands and surface waters, and therefore need to be fully analyzed in order to completely understand the severity of the impacts on regulated resources. The impacts to regulated resources, including wetlands and waters, are avoidable impacts that should be directly associated with Transco's selection of the site, since it is the presumption of the NJDEP that non-wetland alternatives exist. These impacts, no matter how short the duration, conflict with the Federal 401 Freshwater Protection Act, as well as New Jersey's water quality standards. The New Jersey water quality standards set forth the state's obligation to, and I quote, maintain and enhance the chemical, physical, and biological integrity of its waters, to protect the public health, to safeguard aquatic biota, and protect scenic and ecological values. In the context of this application, the diminishment of flow will not safeguard the aquatic biota of these streams. Since Transco's proposed compressor station is also subject to the requirements of a 401 freshwater wetlands individual permit, any drawdown-related impacts must be subject to a detailed alternatives analysis that clearly shows that there are no other alternatives that would have a less adverse impact on the aquatic ecosystems or would not involve a freshwater wetland or state open water. FERC's certificate of public convenience and necessity should not be viewed as being analogous to satisfying the public interest requirement of an individual freshwater wetlands permit. The application for a FERC certificate describes the purpose and commercial need for the project, the transportation rate to be charged to customers, proposed project facilities, and how the company will comply with applicable regulatory requirements. In contrast, the freshwater wetlands protection at N.J.A.C. 7:7A-7.2 standard requirements for all individual permits define the public interest very, very differently and includes the public interest in the preservation of natural resources. The impacts associated with this application do not safeguard natural resources. FERC looks at the operational and financial aspects of projects. This has little or no bearing on how pipeline projects actually create cumulative impacts in the real world, beyond schematics and spreadsheets. Nature, as we all know, is complex, increasingly unpredictable, and interconnected. Nature doesn't recognize artificial constructs that FERC creates, and neither should the DEP. Therefore, we request that the NJDEP withdraw the dewatering permit, and that the impacts of the drawdown are included as part of the review of the individual wetlands permit application. We also ask that the DEP hold public hearings for the individual wetland permit that allows robust public input. This drawdown permit cannot be adequately evaluated and should not be approved until your department has completed a thorough and inclusive review of the individual wetlands permit application. And I just want to end by saying, thank you, New Jersey DEP. We do have, over the years, very strong water laws. And we know that by simply fully enacting existing New Jersey and federal water regulations, the DEP has the tools at its disposal to stop projects like Penn East, the Southern Reliability Link, and to stop the Garden State expansion.
Yes. Carol Kim?
Good evening. I hope that on your way in you were able to take a look at all the beautiful photos on the wall over there behind those gentlemen. If you haven't seen them on your way in, please stop on your way out and take a look. A group of residents have been taking photos of this wildlife and wetlands at the proposed compressor station. They've been accessing the property that Bordentown still owns, which is only a very, very small piece of the full area. And even though it's only a very small piece, abundant wildlife and wildlife habitats have been documented as seen in these photos. We're concerned that the effect on wildlife has not been sufficiently evaluated. For example, the site currently has thriving vernal pools, many birds' nests and birds, and even a pregnant or nursing fox. And this is only one very, very small piece of the entire property. Our concern is that the DEP is aware of what will be destroyed if this project is approved, and we ask that further wildlife studies be conducted. Thank you.
It's C-A-N-N, spelling of your name? Good. Thank you. Nicole?
Howdy. I'm Nicole Bensabago, Bencivengo. This is my daughter, Dorothy. I'm at 5 Bordentown Chesterfield Road. I am one of the wells, less than a quarter mile away from the project here. I moved to Chesterfield 3 years ago. It's a farming town with beautiful landscapes and an abundance of wildlife, an amazing school system, and a lot of great people. Never had we imagined we would be living a stone's throw away from from such a monstrosity. Dewatering may be a temporary process with no adverse effects, but I'm sure these adverse effects of this project will last a lifetime. What do I do if my well and septic can't handle the changes? What are the long-term effects of the contaminants that are going to come along with this project? What will happen to the displaced wildlife? What will happen to the farmers, their crops, and their livelihood? What will happen to the water quality? No one can give us a truthful, educated answer. What goes up must come down, and our soil and water will be affected. How will my neighbors, myself, my family, my friends, and my young daughter be affected? Please make the decision to deny this permit and preserve the integrity of Chesterfield and Bordentown Township.
Next three speakers are Thomas Galpian, Lena Smith, and I think this is Lily or Lila Taylor.
Hello, it's Paul. Lily Hollow, ULI.
Yes, that is three. You the third one. Thomas first.
Thomas Glotkin. It's G-L-A-P as in Paul, I-O-N. I reside at 606 Chesterfield, Arlington Road, Chesterfield, New Jersey. I resided my whole life in the state of New Jersey. I stand before you gravely concerned about the dewatering project associated with the compressor station and the detrimental effects that it may impose on my only source of drinking water, my private well. I wasn't sure how to address this issue in this or any other forum. I started to research dewatering, and I found myself reading things such as the aquifer conditions in the presence of any aquatards and aquaclids have a critical effect. For example, if the aquifer is highly transmissive, then the distance of influence of pumping will be large, and there is a potential for drawdown of groundwater levels to occur at great distances from the dewatering system. Great distances. Or if a multiple aquifer system is being dewatered, the presence of aquafluids between the aquifers may restrict the transmission of drawdown impacts from one aquifer to another. Where dewatering and pumping is carried out in an aquifer, which is used as a source for water supply by third parties, for example, for drinking water or for industrial water use, there can be negative impacts on the available water resources from the aquifer. These types of impacts are most commonly of concern where a dewatering system is to pump high flow rates for extended periods of time, several months or longer. In that case, the sustained dewatering pumping may have a potential to lower regional groundwater levels in the aquifer and reduce the water resources available to third-party abstractors. This may be apparent in the short term in the form of lowered water levels in water supply wells and correspondingly reduced yields. Well, the thing about it is, the more I read, the more concerned I became. Not only because what I read upset me, but I realized that I could not present a logical argument due to my lack of understanding of all of the technical and engineering issues for which I profess ignorance. I am greatly concerned because the dewatering project is adjacent to the New Jersey Turnpike, and that happens to be one of the busiest highway corridors in the nation. And when those cars go up and down that highway, the spillage from the benzene, from the gasoline, the collective, come off the turnpike in that area and accumulate. So when you start dewatering, what happens is you create a vacuum. It pulls water from along other areas into that vacuum. So now we're pulling more pollutants, and the question's been raised, where is it all going? I'm concerned about the vehicle pollution that's washed into that area and how that water would now be disturbed and redistributed. I'm greatly concerned because many of my neighbors and friends and farmers depend on wells, and I've neither seen nor heard of mention to establish test wells from the furthest supply point, nor to mention of establishing a baseline water test throughout the project area. Subsurface cavitation, soil displacement, contamination, aquifers, I quickly realized that I am in over my head. So I asked myself, and I'm going to rush this, who's best suited to represent me? Shouldn't it be the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection? So I looked to your website, and it appears that the Water Monitoring and Standards has the primary responsibility of closely monitoring the state's fresh marine groundwater. So I see the red light. So I'm going to jump ahead here. I think this project needs to be taken in its entirety. Because if you just look at the compressor station, I'm going to ask the question, when you get down to 539 where the Beaumont site was, how are you going to go through that plutonium-contaminated land? That land is full of contaminants. And as a fact, as a law enforcement officer for the Joint Base, I sat in many meetings when the Beaumont site was being depleted, and I suggested that they dig a trench so you can't go in there and reclaim the metal, which they were doing. The engineers adamantly opposed that because they said they don't want to disturb the groundwater and the plutonium flowing through that, and there are wells in there now. So how are we going to get to this point, people? So you need to stop it now. That's all I'm going to ask. I'm going to give you this letter, but I appreciate it.
Good evening, Lena Smith, Lena, Smith. It's a hard one. New Jersey Natural Gas has not showed need for the project, and since the compressor is being built to supply gas to New Jersey Natural Gas, the compressor station is unneeded. Water is a public good and should remain in the public trust. Oh, I should say I work for an organization called Food and Water Watch, and we work to protect our water and keep it publicly owned and controlled. So water being a public good and remaining in the public trust, it shouldn't be allowed to be controlled and diverted by an out-of-state corporation. The compressor station and pipeline are not in the public's interest, and the proposed dewatering is not in the public's interest. The Garden State Expansion Project, if constructed, will inflict severe and irreparable harm on New Jersey fish, wildlife, wetlands, and hydrologic patterns. The compressor station will require cutting down forests and critical wetland habitat, robbing us of the many benefits they provide. Groundwater flows will be diminished and altered in ways that harm streams, wetlands, and potential drinking water supplies. The Garden State Expansion Project will cause and contribute to violations of state water quality standards and degradation of ground and surface water. The compressor station will damage property values, businesses of all kinds, and will subject this community to the risks of the air pollution from blowdowns. The dewatering for the construction of the proposed Transco compressor station will have significant effects on the wetlands. The project may have adverse impacts on groundwater, agriculture wells, residential wells, surface water flow, wetlands, and aquatic life. The project may have adverse impacts on its users and is not in the public interest. The proposed project fails to address the significant water resource impact that could occur from this project and has failed to provide sufficient information to demonstrate compliance with New Jersey state water quality standards. The dewatering for the compressor Transco station will have significant effects on the wetlands. The DEP should withdraw the dewatering permit until the wetlands issues are addressed and hold public hearings on wetlands permits. The DEP should not consider issuing the state freshwater wetlands permit in lieu of the requirement under the Clean Water Act for a 401 water quality certificate and should deny the 401 water quality certificate. The project is not in the public's interest, and the threats that it poses to our water, air, health, safety, environment, and quality of life must be taken into consideration. This project is being proposed solely for corporate gain. We cannot allow for our water, which is supposed to be held in the public trust, to be managed by a private out-of-state corporation. Thank you.
Then after Yuli, it would be Jacqueline Haylaw.
My name is Julia Haller. I'm the German guy in Chesterfield. And I live on 55 Woodland Chesterfield Road. And I'm really worried about this pipeline coming through here. I think it's safe. I think we should look at a new situation. Why we don't look at solar power or something like that? Right? When the sun shines in Europe, we don't have much sunshine. Here in America, we got a lot of sunshine. I got little solar lights outside in my house. They work beautiful. And they're getting better every day. So that's what I suggest. Get rid of the pipeline, go with solar.
Jacqueline Halla, and after Jacqueline, it would be Jean Kovac, Linda Frezzi, and Fairfax Hatter.
My name is Jacqueline Hallow, H-A-L-A-W, and I'm a concerned resident from Chesterfield. I'm also, I was previously employed as a geologist. And my comments are concerning New Jersey Administrative Code 719-2-3, Sections D, Sections G2. The technical report submitted by the applicant, specifically Section 4.0, completely failed to discuss the impacts of disturbing the acid-producing Woodbury Formation on the water resource and other users of the water resource. This is a severe lack of due diligence, therefore I'm imploring that you deny this permit. Many of the proposed dewatering locations, including the box excavations at sites 11, 12, 15, and several trench excavations, penetrate through the Pennsauken Formation, referenced as Stratum 1, and into the Woodbury Formation, referenced as Stratum 2. The Woodbury Formation is a well-known acid-producing deposit in New Jersey. It consists of gray clay with finely dispersed pyrite or iron sulfide. In an undisturbed state, the Woodbury Formation is benign. However, if the soil is drained and excavated and exposed to air, as this dewatering and construction proposal intends, the iron sulfides react with oxygen to form sulfuric acid. The release of this sulfuric acid from the soil can in turn release iron, aluminum, and other heavy metals like arsenic within the soil. Once mobilized, the acid and metals can create a variety of negative impacts, including altering natural communities, killing vegetation, impacting water quality, compromising wetland ecology, reducing agricultural productivity due to metal-contaminated soils, thwarting the ability of homeowners to establish lawns and other vegetation, and degrading concrete and steel structures that are being built on the site. The technical report submitted by the applicant completely failed to address the impacts of disturbing the Woodbury Formation deposit, nor did it include any proposed dewatering mitigation plans for the acid-forming soils found in the site. The application did not address how they plan to control surface or groundwater that will mix with the acid-producing formation. The proposed diversion is neither just nor equitable to other users of the water resource, specifically residents, farmers, and wildlife, because there are adverse impacts to the quality of surface water, groundwater, and the agricultural water supply. The surrounding land and receiving waters will be negatively impacted by the acid leaching. The lack of any mention in this application is a severe lack of due diligence. Therefore, again, I am imploring that you deny this permit.
Jean Koga?
My name is Jean Kogath. It's Jean, Kovath. I live on the proposed route of the SRL, and one of my main concerns after safety in general is the impact this project will have on the water supply of this entire area, the Pinelands, and on my private well. Under NJDEP Rule 719-23D, which we've heard much of, in order for this permit to be approved, Transco must show that they have considered the effects of the project on other, quote, other users of the water source. That means all of us, which includes all users of the aquifer disturbed by the dewatering. How has Transco proved to this body and to us that the dewatering surrounding the compressor station will not affect our aquifer? Number one, has there been compelling scientific evidence provided to you that guarantees this dewatering and relocation of millions of gallons of water from the wetlands in Chesterfield will have no adverse impact on the aquifer that provide the sole water source for hundreds of homes? Two, do you have absolute proof that both the extraction and relocation of the water will not change the ecosystem that helps to purify our waters? Number three, have the soils, both surrounding the compressor station and the soils of the lands to be flooded, been thoroughly tested for all possible contaminants in order to guarantee dangerous chemicals will not be released into our water supply? Have the wells within the quarter, I have 35 wells. I mean, that number's been it changed all night long, from none to 20 to now 35 wells within the quarter-mile radius of the dewatering activity, but pre-tested. Do you know whether what we're dealing with now to begin with? Has Transco indicated where the water will be moved to and how it will impact those lands? And has Transco given sufficient study to the potential effects of the wells and septic systems within the quarter mile from the dewatering and relocation activity? And finally, how did Transco determine where the water table will be on those wetlands for the duration of the dewatering when our soils are so affected by the weather? Did you perform an annual analysis of water table conditions for both the dewatering site and the receiving site? In considering this permit, New Jersey DEP must consider the cumulative effects of both the dewatering and the construction of the Southern Reliability Link, which is only possible if the compressor station is built. The SRL is a 30-mile high-pressure transmission gas line that will be constructed along sensitive wetlands across many streams and creeks adjacent to preserve forms that provide food. I see the yellow light is on, so I'm going to just jump ahead. What I want to point out is there's no easy fixes for ruining the water supply in our area. There's no public water source that we can get. There's no water available to us. We can only use private wells. I believe the DEP is responsible for the health and safety of our environment. Right now, our wetlands and streams and private wells need your protection. Has Transco and NJNG proved that there will be no negative impact to the waters of New Jersey? No negative impact to the existing wildlife living in the wetlands surrounding the compressor station? How are they protecting us? What is the threshold of disruption? I just have one more sentence then. This past several weeks, New York, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Kentucky have stopped major natural gas infrastructure projects, including compressor stations and transmission pipelines, from being built in their states. All natural gas infrastructure proposals have the same stated purpose: reliability and resiliency. The 4 states mentioned have determined the health and safety risks of these projects are greater than the need for reliability and resiliency. And we ask that New Jersey do the same.
Linda Frazee.
Hi, Linda Freese, F-R-E-S-E. I'm a Chesterfield Township resident, and I wanted to say I do agree with all the previous testimony. The New Jersey Turnpike construction has already permanently lowered the groundwater table during their 6 to 9 widening project, and there's already been acres of woodland adjacent to the project in this area that has been clear-cut due to the Trenton-Woodbury expansion project. So I hope you take that into consideration as well. The groundwater is already said to be contaminated, and we had to pay for the extra feet of drilling to reach the deeper aquifer for our well. When the second water table, or aquifer, whatever it's referred to, when that becomes polluted due to the activities of the turnpike, the compressor station, and the pipelines, who will provide the residents of Chesterfield Township, Bordentown Township, and all the other residents that use this aquifer an adequate supply of water for our children and for our grandchildren and future New Jersey residents? And of the 21, or however many there is, wells within the quarter mile, did they include 11 Bordentown Chesterfield Road? Because we've always been omitted from the as an existing residence for both the Turnpike widening project and the Transco Trenton-Woodbury expansion. Our residents just didn't exist. So we were never included as a residence, and so we're probably not included as a well in this plan. Also, the Turnpike Authority that this project is directly adjacent to the New Jersey Turnpike. The Turnpike Authority still has not corrected the runoff and drainage issues from the Route 528 road relocation for the widening project. So how can we expect Transco and New Jersey National Gas to comply with DEP requirements for restoring the surrounding properties? And were all the wells that were located at the dozen or more residences that were acquired by the New Jersey Turnpike, which were subsequently sold to Transco, were all those wells sealed properly? And one of these abandoned wells is already on the existing property in this project. Is the DEP taking into consideration both projects combined? Because the Garden State expansion and the SRL are both one project. And this entire project location, are they including the substation, electrical substation? Because that is all one and the same project. Thank you.
Fairfax Hutter.
Hello, Fairfax Hutter of Lawrenceville, New Jersey. I first of all want to second the comments of Patty Kronheim and others with respect to avoidance and following the regulations and the like. There have been very many good comments made. I just wanted to say that I feel strongly that the overall process needs to change. This isn't necessarily DEP's process, but the whole FERC process and pipeline process. Well, these companies pursue a divide and conquer strategy. So it's premature to look at each project in a vacuum, piecemeal, and conditionally before all the data is in and correct, and to look at projects out of order. It is time to look at these projects as a whole. We know the Garden State expansion links Southern Reliability Link and Penn East. We know New Jersey Natural Gas has been at the Penn East helm from the very beginning. You should not be approving any projects and saddling citizens with the costs until you know whether the source is justified and viable. The Penn East start is one of its most problematic elements. It cannot go under the Susquehanna River, near where it starts, because the Wyoming Valley is a honeycomb of abandoned coal mines that are now flooded with acid mine drainage. Penn East now proposes to open trench and dam half the mighty Susquehanna. FERC and all these other projects should be looking about the ability to even get this underway without committing people and communities downstream to all the consequences. Penn East has provided no geologic test in 20 months that's showing that they can do this safely without puncturing the roof of the mines. And the Susquehanna did break in 1959, drowning 12 miners, and also proving that they will not be releasing acid mine drainage into the Susquehanna, whose ultimate destination is Chesapeake Bay, or releasing PCBs, which we know are in the Susquehanna from the upstream nearby Lackawanna. And people saw the consequences in Colorado last summer when the Animas mine drainage when the gold mine, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but the mine polluted the Animas River and turned it orange. We have certain kind of consequences like that that really need to be determined before any of the ensuing and connected projects are considered, examined, and approved. So please do not put the compressor before the pipes. Thank you very much.
The next three people, Sam Canizaro. I'm going to spell the next person's name. S-R-I-N-I-V-A-S. Kotamrajb, and Jerome Branikowski. Those three speakers, please. Starting with Sam. Sam here. Is Sam Canizaro here? Okay. Is SRINIBASKOTAMRAJB here?
Try saying that.
Or not? Okay. Jerome Baranowski? Is Jerome here, please? No? Okay. Denise Garner. Is Denise Garner here? Okay. Is Virginia Monson here? Virginia? Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Followed by Rachel Leone and Andrea Bonet. Please.
You ready? Thank you. I am Stephen Monson, M-O-N-S-O-N, Stephen with a P-H. I'm appearing for my wife, Virginia. We live in Bordentown on Winding Brook Road. By way of background, we lived near the Edison explosion site in the mid-'80s. Fortunately, nobody was killed that day because they were all at work. But had it happened at night, the death toll would have been astronomical. But you also have to taken into consideration that the blast zone, and that was just from pipeline, which is not a 30-inch pipeline, went out at least a mile. People's windows were shattered. There was substantial damage. This compressor station has, well, they call it a blast zone, but perhaps you ought to realize it's a death zone, a kill zone, because of the amount of gas and pressure that will be flowing through it. And when it goes, not if, when it goes, as it's been decided, shown here tonight, the turnpike will be destroyed. Well over several thousand homes will be destroyed, along with the people in them. And there will be major disruption throughout the New Jersey corridor. Now, how is this related to water? Well, it's very nice that you all decided you would have this public hearing on dewatering, segmenting. Well, we all understand the sham that you are trying to put over on us, and that Transco Williams is trying to put over on us. And you have been very politely sitting there stone-faced. The impression we all have is your mind's made up, don't confuse us with the facts. Let's face it, this whole project will destroy this area. Without water, water is the basis of this planet. You want to mess with the water, which is your responsibility, yours, and yours alone. You want to mess with the water, you are messing with everybody and everything. You poison the water, people can't live. You poison the water, no food. You poison the water, no wildlife, no fish, no nothing. So you have to take cognizance of that. If you're not, then you are doing something seriously wrong. Finally, don't forget that there are lands that have been purchased with money provided, by the way, by your entity. Because our Constitution has been amended several times to allow for wetlands to be set aside. So now you're going to take the money that you set aside to buy wetlands. What are you going to do? No, you're just going to give it away. Not right. That's probably unconstitutional. I hope Mr. Harrison will bring that up in the lawsuit. Thank you very much.
Rachel Leone. Andrea Burnett. And after Andrea, it's Don Sheridan, Lori Thier, and Harris Barge. Apologize. Go ahead.
Andrea Bonnet,
Andrea, B as in boy, O-N as in Nellie, E-T-T-E. I actually live in Hunterdon County, and so we've been very involved with the Penn East aspect of this, which has been mentioned many times tonight. And I would just like to comment that this project, this compressor station, should certainly not be built or approved based on misplaced confidence that Penn East Pipeline is a going Jesse and is going to contribute to it. As sure as God made little green apples, Penn East is not going to happen. It's already been opposed by thousands of residents. Every New Jersey elected municipal, state, and county official opposes it. And New Jersey already has 43% more natural gas than it needs, according to the studies I have seen. Secondly, I would like to talk about credibility. We start with FERC, which we have a great deal of experience with in Hunterdon County. They have never refused a pipeline, to the best of my knowledge, and the group that they hired to do their environmental impact statement, which I realize is different from an environmental assessment, is called Tetra Tech. And Tetra Tech is a member of the Marcellus Shale Coalition, and so they're all gas people. Well, what do you think they're going to say? Of course, there is no problem anywhere. Then we have Transco's credibility. I don't know if any of you were at the hearing in Montgomery Township a couple of months ago. Transco got permission to do a lot of stream drilling under streams in the Princeton Ridge, and then they discovered, ta-da, after they started the project, that Princeton Ridge has solid diabase granite under it, and their drills didn't work. So now they've already started and made this horrendous mess, which I will be happy to give anybody a tour of if you would like. And now they come before DEP and they're saying, oh, please, please let us cross the streams, just cross the streams. You know, what difference does it make? We already started. And the other thing that Transco does, as it does Penn East, is they have these weasel words, which George Orwell referred to as good speak, like not expected to, minimize is one of their favorites, mitigate is another one, and contingency plans. So I would just like to encourage everyone in this room to be aware of how slimy all these people are, and you cannot believe a single thing they say.
Good evening, Dawn Sheridan, Sheridan. I'm a resident of Chesterfield. As a mother, I think I speak on behalf, I'm a single mother, so I'm also a father. I think I speak on behalf of all mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers. When we have children, we do everything we can to protect them, and we do everything we can to protect our family. At the end of the day, I look in the mirror and I ask myself, have I done everything I can to protect my child and done what's right? Will you be able to, after you rubber stamp this like every other government agency has done, look in the mirror and say that? The reality is that you don't live there, and neither does Transco. The reality is they're not going to tell you. They're only going to tell you what they want to. They have lied left and right. They don't tell you about blowdowns. They sent children in Roseland, New Jersey. I spoke to the mayor, to the hospital from the fumes. That's something no parent wants to know when a person calls you and says, your child's in the hospital. Panic sets in. We rush out of our jobs to go make sure our child is okay. At the end of the day, I don't want to go to work and wonder if my house is still standing. We have jokingly said that New Jersey is the armpit state of the world. Well, no, we're about to become the corporate greed and pipeline state of the world. And that's not a situation I want to be a part of. Everyone said to me, why are you moving back to Chesterfield? There's nothing there. That's exactly what I like. It's a close-knit community and we help each other out. When I didn't live there, everyone looked out for my grandmother. And they still do. They always ask me. So as a mother, I'm going to protect my child at all costs. And one thing I've always told my son is, you're going to get in trouble if you lie, but you're in more trouble if you keep lying. So why don't you make Transco be held accountable and start admitting the truth about how deceptive they are, how thievery. I mean, we don't stand from this from our kids, and if your parents, I'm sure your kids growing up, you wouldn't stand for lying, why are you allowing them to bold-faced lie to you, and especially under oath?
Lori Thier, 153 Chesterfield, Crosswicks Road. And my address, L-O-R-R-I-E, last name is T-H-I-E-R. My address should actually be very familiar to the DEP, because about 10 years ago, we were experiencing a lot of growth in this town. And we wanted to try to not spend as much for a big, beautiful school and be able to build on the lot where the old school was. But the DEP came in and protecting the environment and protecting our water did not allow for water or sewer to run down my road. I have sewer, I have a well, and I'm really close to where this pipeline is going to be going. I have 3 children, I have animals, and I'm surrounded by wetlands. I can't do anything on my property because of the wetlands. I don't understand how, as a taxpayer, I can't do anything with my property, but these people come in here and are able to destroy our lives. At every meeting, every time I come to a meeting, they have different information. They don't even correct the information when we spoon feed them their deceptions. They don't go back and correct it. They don't go back and say, oh, wait a minute, there are these many wells. They still don't get accurate information. But we're allowing them to take over the lives of so many people. And, you know, I don't understand why. So I'm hoping that you guys will not rubber stamp this, will not give this the green light until they start providing accurate information that you can analyze and make sure that it is in the best interest of the environment, of the water, and of the people that is going to affect in these communities. Because this is not needed for anything other than making sure that their pockets are lined. Thank you.
I'm going to spell the last name of this person. I'm having a hard time with the handwriting. Harris, I think. B-H-A-R-S-A. Is that anyone? Okay. Jeff Richter.
Right now?
Are you Jeff?
I'm Jeff.
I think so.
Has my 3 minutes started yet already? Is that included in the walk-up? All right. Jeff Richter, G-E-O-F-F-R-I-C-H-T-E-R. I'm the outreach manager at Pinelands Preservation Alliance. Just wanted to make a couple quick points, not necessarily about the compressor station. That's not necessarily within our purview, but the company that relies upon the compressor station, New Jersey Natural Gas, they have violated the public trust. Couple small points. We've recovered documents and statements going back to 2013 of financial analyst meetings, as well as financial analyst reports that show that actually written out in the purpose and the need for the Southern Reliability Link, the pipeline that you're connecting to the compressor station, one of the purposes for that was to support growth in Ocean County over the long term. They then testified to the BPU that the only reason for the Southern Reliability Link was to provide resiliency to the system. The volume of gas that is being contracted to go through the Southern Reliability Link, through the Transco compressor station, suggests otherwise. Something smells off on that. Okay, so that's one point. The second point is that it violates the comprehensive management plan of the Pinelands. So basically the reason that, you know, the waiver that would allow for the pipeline to go through the Pinelands in the areas that it does would have to be based on some sort of need by the joint base. A 2014 internal Air Force report showed that the base had absolutely no need in the present or in the foreseeable future of updating or increasing its natural gas service. In fact,
we did Oprah and FOIA requests that found that New Jersey Natural Gas was actually phishing and going to members of the base and asking them, hey, do you think some of your buildings might, in the foreseeable future, need some natural gas, something like that? So they were going around and trying to create a narrative around which they could say that the base needed gas. And then, in their actual application, there's nothing in there showing any kind of interconnect into the base. So where's the need? What is the pipeline serving? So this is the project, right? This is the project that is necessarily connected with the compressor station, with this dewatering permit. So by allowing for this process to go through, you're essentially allowing an incredibly flawed and devious company and process to go along with its activities. And then the third point, again, we're coming back to it's fossil fuel infrastructure. We have to deal with climate change. I realize I'll be quick. So the state's energy master plan is flawed. It basically is trying to take away coal and allow for new natural gas infrastructure and natural gas power plants to be incorporated. That is based on industry science and industry science that's actually quite old. Within the past few years, we've been seeing that the scientific consensus, obviously, that climate change is real and man-made, and in fact, the impacts are looking much sooner and much more dire. Methane leakage is severely, this is the point. Methane leakage from the system, from production all the way to consumption, has been wildly underreported for years, going back to 2003. The main piece of equipment...
Your time is up.
I realize that. The main piece of equipment for actually measuring methane leakage has been shown to only underestimate how much leakage is there, with an average of 30%. Okay, and so when we're talking about methane, we're talking about something that within a 5-year time period.
Your time is up.
Right. So within a 5-year time period is 100 times more heat trapping than carbon dioxide. We talk a lot about carbon dioxide, and that's the problem. Okay. Within a 20-year time period, it is 84 times more powerful of a carbon dioxide equivalent. Within 100 years, it goes down to only 34 times more heat trapping and carbon dioxide. This is what we're dealing with. Thank you.
There were a number of people whose names I called before that either they stepped out or left. I'm just in the hope that they are still here. I'm going to call their names. Sam Canizari, are you here? Okay. Let's see, Jerome Baranowski. No. Denise Garner. Rachel Leone. Harris, Bharsa. Jamie Zakari. Garrett. Steve Benowitz. Tim Serpico. And SRINIVAS KOTAMRAJB. No? Was there anyone else that wanted to speak? If so, if you could just sign in right now. Otherwise, this is the end of our testimony. In closing, I want to thank you all. Yes, sir. Please sign in. No. ahead, sir.
So I guess it's just in Anastasius Giovannis.
Sir, say your name and spell it, please, for the record.
Anastasius Giovannis.
Spell it, please.
Anastasios.
Whoa. The stenographer is...
Anastasios. Last name is Gei. V as in Victor, Elis.
Thank you.
It's more of a question now. Being here all evening, hearing all the concerned questions and issues being raised, what is the next step of the protocol that you guys, as the DEP, representing the people and all the statements given tonight, what happens next? What is the protocol that happens next?
We'll have closing statements, sir.
Closing statements? Okay. That's it. Thank you.
James Marcella?
My name is James Marsala, Jamesmarsala. My sister Agnes has been very vocal in this, and I have one thing I want to say that is more of a cautionary tale for the DEP. All right, you have to take into consideration that there's a presidential election coming right now, and the DEP is on the chopping block for a whole bunch of people for a whole bunch of reasons. So, and I'm not trying to be ignorant to you, but the truth of the matter is, if you don't become of use, you will be gotten rid of. And that's just the way it's going to go. The Republican side is basically looking to completely eliminate this. So there's a lot of Democratic people in this community that care about things and care about their homes. So maybe you should think about them when you're making these decisions. Because this is our home. Just like your job is your job, and your home is your home. This is where we live. So just remember that you guys all tie in with us the same as we tie in with you.
Bennett?
Yes, hi, I'm Cindy Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T. I've grown up in Chesterfield since 1963. I'm not a farmer, but I've grown up around farmers. I realize how important water is to them and for them to have their livelihood. I see them struggle every year and we're trying to work along with the weather and what's going on and needing lakes and streams to irrigate when we have drought times. I just want to say that I appreciate you guys listening to us, and I'm begging you to please help us. I'm so frustrated with our government and with what's going on. All these agencies that I thought were out there to protect our environment and to protect us, I just feel like they failed and they don't care. And I'm just praying that you guys care enough about our community and all the communities that surround us. This has already affected us in just, you want to talk about money, I'm sure it's affecting every township that's fighting it with lawyers' fees and everything that come down to taxes from us. That's already affecting us. And I can't imagine what it will do if it happens to the children of the future in this area. That I've been able to enjoy this area, fishing, checking out frogs, and whatever else I've done growing up. I would hate to see the children of this area be robbed of that. So anything you can do, I would greatly appreciate. And I just want to say where the compressor station is every spring, when I drive over that overpass where the turnpike is, I roll down my windows and hear the first signs of spring. There's so much sound coming from that particular area, and I live out near streams and everything, but the sound is just amazing there. So on your way out, roll down your windows and listen to the sound, because if this happens, it might not be there. Thank you for anything you can do.
Hello everyone, my name is Craig DiGiovanna.
Spell your name, please.
Craig, D-I, Giovanna. I live in Bordentown in Clifton Mills, Winding Brook Road. And the reason I came, I wanted to learn more about the issues. You know, I've gotten information on in the mail, and I'm glad I came because all these people showing up tonight showed me that, you know, this is a serious issue. And I've been living in this neighborhood for 13 years. And I have a young kid, I have an 8-year-old, I have a 3.5-year-old, you know. And I think about them, you know, and it's like, I think about them playing soccer on the weekends. I think about them doing things. I think about how my life would change if everything came about. My wife has told me, I don't want to live here anymore if this is going to happen. And I like this area. I don't want to be driven out of this area, you know what I mean? And all I have to say is I just want to be on record that, you know, I don't know a lot about deep into the issues that everybody was bringing up, but I'm glad that I came here because now I have a great understanding of what's going on, you know, and I think if so many people show up like this, there's got to be a reason why, you know what I mean? So, you know, I just hope everybody hears what they need to hear and everybody makes the right decision. Thank you.
My name is Cindy Bloom Cronin, Bloom, B-L-O-O-M, hyphen Cronin, C-R-O-N-I-N. Live at 31 Chesterfield, Georgetown Road. But we also have property right between where Nicole lives and where Linda Fries lives. And I appreciate everybody else bringing up their comments tonight. I'm sure that Flint, Michigan also had a public hearing before all their problems occurred. And I would just like to state that if and when Nicole and Linda and I need water brought in to cook with, brush our teeth, take our showers, water our animals, and water our fields, that Flint or that somebody like Transco will bring in our water so that we can have clear water to drink with and do all of our necessities. So thank you for seeing us tonight and listening to all our comments. But I hope you do help us out. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for being here tonight, for sharing with us your thoughts, your concerns, and providing us with very good and helpful information. Based on the testimony we received tonight and the public interest in this application, it's been determined that the hearing record should remain open until May 17, 2016.
Yeah.
Copy of the transcript of this hearing. We ask that you please contact the stenographer recording company. Do we have your information? Okay. A copy of the permit application and the addendum, the draft permit, and the staff report are available on the DEP website. You can find it by going to our DEP main page and then looking for the Division of Water and Geoscience. And that information, a link is there with all of that information. Our hearing is now closed. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.